Welcome to Slash Forward. In this episode, we're going to where the sidewalk ends for us and our relationship with Kevin Bacon with the 1990 film Tremors. This video is dedicated to the hardcore fans of geological surveying. If that's you, you should subscribe to the channel. Let's get to it. We open on a canyon where Valentine is taking a piss off the edge of the world. Then he gives his bro Earl a tender wake-up call so they can continue their day of doing odd jobs for a couple of bucks. Between jobs, they ride out to meet the new grad student, a common feature of the town due to the valley's ample opportunity for geological survey. Val's hoping for some peaks and valleys to explore, but set his expectations too high for plain old Rhonda, who doesn't even have the consolation prize of some exciting findings to report out on. Just some strange and random rumblings from the bowels of the earth. We learn afterward that Valentine has an incel-style list of requirements in a mate, despite only having access to whatever happens to blow through town. And then they head to Walter's general store where the townsfolk hang out for beers, groceries, and ammo. Tired of this dead-end life, our boys pack up to hit the old dusty trail. However, on the way out, they see Edgar, drunk and passed out on the power lines again. They go youth before beauty as Val prepares to clean up his butt and discovers him dead. The doctor says he died of dehydration and was likely up that tower for several days. While they mull on that, we see Farmer Dill and his wife tending the fields, with horrific results. This again prevents the boys from breaking free of the town as they survey the damage and discover their friend's hat and cherubic face, framed by a ridge of sand like he's peering out from a butthole. In town, they have no working phone and local CB only due to the mountains. So they head down the road again and find it impassable as it's been chunked up since their last pass through. They turn around and get high-centered on something, requiring Val to drive it like he stole it, which does the trick. In town, they see the problem was related to a sort of prehistoric snake that wrapped itself around their axle. Bert suggests there must be a bunch of those suckers sliding around if they ate up a whole flock of sheep. That evening, an old couple outside town finds their generator missing. It eventually reappears as a stinky surprise erupting from the earth. Jim is excited by the geological implications of this, but his enthusiasm quickly wanes when he has to deal with being dragged underground by a sandworm. Megan then takes cover in the wagon, which is pulled under as well to give her attackers time to patiently work at gaining access to the gooey treat inside. Val and Earl venture out on horses the next day to find help, but the horses eventually sense something wrong. They try to chide them on, but are asked to kindly piss off. And then they get the first reveal that these creatures are underground, and that the large snakes are actually just small prehensile tongues attached to the mouth of a much larger sand walrus. They run for it and luck out when it goes headfirst into the concrete abutment of the canal. And then Rhonda appears.
Did you notice anything weird a minute ago?
Yeah. As they excavate the find, Rhonda decides that based on the pings across the valley, there must be about 3 more of them, so they beeline for the truck. But when the needles get to jittering, they're forced onto the closest rocks, where she determines they must be hunting by ground vibrations. They find themselves in an Edgar-like situation, unable to leave their location. And the creatures prove to be persistent, waiting out their prey even if it takes all night. Luckily, Rhonda has a great idea, involving some conveniently available refuse, which allows them to traverse the rocky piles via pole vaulting, a sport that thankfully has no learning curve whatsoever. This results in them arriving gracefully at the truck where Rhonda gasses it with her hands and steers with her shoulder blades, knowing where to go by memory, I guess. Back in town, they barely have time to do more than determine they should head for the mountains where the graboids don't move so good before their presence is noticed in town. As they work to ensure everyone's safety, they're forced to scatter. Rhonda finds herself tossed about by the bulging earth, entangling her in barbed wire and requiring pants removal. This gives Val the opportunity to hit those wounds with some essential oils to stave off infection, and also to fall in love. But then the freezer pops off, attracting unwanted attention, and Walter, the one who named the graboids and thus took away their power, is ironically dragged underground as the creature's new wife, and the rest of them take to the rooftops. Bert and Heather then arrive home, confused about the lack of any snake trails to pursue, and notice their friends behaving oddly. Unfortunately, the bullet tumbler attracts one of the graboids before they can flee. Fortunately, it emerges from the wall opposite the gun wall, so they get to pew-pew it to death with their whole armory. Now needing to reunite, the town gang decides to go for the tractor to round everyone up. They set off a distraction and Val goes for it, but gets caught out. He plays a little cat and mouse game before Rhonda's quick thinking buys him some more time. This allows them to regroup and head for Open Valley, but like in every other way imaginable, they're thwarted by their enemy. They manage to use Bert's pipe bombs to clear a path to a rock formation. From here, they manage to fish one of the 2 remaining graboids, celebrating prematurely as they're then slathered in baby food. However, this tactic doesn't work on the final, smartest graboid, but Val is suddenly struck by an idea and finds himself full of piss and vinegar, so they blindly follow him as he runs toward a cliff, and at the last moment, he sets off a bomb behind their pursuers. sewer. The explosion forces it to full speed erupt from the cliff face and splatter its entrails on the rocks below. We end the next day as the boys are preparing to go report their findings to the broader world, and after receiving some heavy signals, Val works up the courage to consummate his relationship with Rhonda. Just a reminder that I've set up a website for anyone who wants to support the channel through donations. Any donation will get you access to a 10-minute review of Toby Hooper's Life Force. Thank you so much to Charles and to Cece for your generous donations. If there's something in particular you want me to call you, drop that in the comment box. Tremors is a really well done movie. It's full of practical effects, and it's not afraid to take the time to build up suspense and atmosphere before unloading with the action. If you enjoyed the video, I'd love for you to become a part of the channel by subscribing. Thanks for watching.